what a post-war landscape looks like, sort of who's left behind.
Yeah.
The issue of special immigrant visas, and these are people who want these visas are people who are translators, people who you probably use in your own work here at the Post. About 1,700 of those have been issued over the last years. In Iraq, the program expires in December 31st. Give us a sense of the status of that and where we might go.
Well, first I would say, I mean, this is, I guess, sort of an obvious point, but it's an important one. I mean, there's a very strong connection between what we're talking about now,
right?
You know, what role the Americans play, what happens to the Afghan government, and what Afghans, including these interpreters, think about their own possibilities for the future in their own country. And I will say, I mean, if the Americans don't sign this bilateral security agreement, there's going to be, I think most people would agree, at least a few months of utter hysteria. I mean, where people are already very eager to leave Afghanistan. I mean, Afghans have very little faith in the future, but whatever faith they do have, I think will be close to depleted if this agreement isn't signed. And so anyway, you have these interpreters, thousands of them, who've spent the last decade working with, you know, the U.S. Army, U.S. Marines, often in very dangerous places, who for the last 5 years, since Congress passed this bill, have been acting under the assumption that after they served, they were going to get a visa to come to the U.S., knowing that just the fact that they were working with the Americans put them at great risk.
Right.
Because the Taliban is very good at figuring out who's aiding Americans in any way. And so they've been applying for these visas, and for a while, there was just this enormous bureaucratic holdup, where they would apply, wait 2 years, not get an interview, and now that process has sort of been moved along. But now they're applying, and many of them are getting rejection letters, which is very confusing to them because they're explaining great risks against their own lives. You know, in some cases, the Taliban actually has come to their families' homes and said, if your son doesn't stop working with the Americans, we're going to kill you. But yet then the State Department sends them a letter saying, actually, we don't think there's a direct threat against your life, so you haven't been approved for the visa. And so you're getting hundreds and maybe thousands of people who are, at this point, saying, okay, well, if I can't leave the US and I'm stuck in Afghanistan, and there's a direct threat against my life, what do I do?
Right.
And that's a hard question to answer.